Welcome, wealthy people. Are you ready to increase your credit score up to 100 points in a month? If you want to know when to pay your credit card bill to increase your credit score, or you do pay your credit card bill and are wondering why there isn't a significant change to your credit score, you've come to the right place. In this video, I will be sharing with you how you should pay your credit card bill and when you should pay your credit card bill to increase your score quickly. Watch this video to the very end to put yourself in the position to buy that house, buy that car, and get that loan, or whatever your heart desires that requires a great credit score. So let's get right into it. Every month, we use our credit card to pay for things that we want, things that we need, and things that we don't need. You then get a bill in the mail that shows your new balance, which is the amount you spent on your credit card. While reading your bill, the credit card company says if you pay this minimum amount by this due date, you will remain in good standing with our company. Stop letting them fool you. It's good standing for them and not good standing for you. And this is why. When you pay the minimum amount for a credit card, it's great for the banks because that's when they come in and say, "Thank you for paying the minimum amount. But for the rest of it that you didn't pay, please pay it at your earliest convenience." Oh yeah, and make sure you calculate that 14 to 25% I'm about to slap on there as well. So now you paid the minimum amount on time. You're in good standing with the bank, and you didn't accrue any late fees, which is great. However, when it's time to pay back the rest of what you used, you have to pay back more than what you spent, because they have now added interest to the rest of the balance you didn't pay in full. This brings me to step number 1 on how you can increase your credit score quickly. Always pay the full amount on your bill. By doing this first simple step, you can increase your score drastically and avoid all interest, meaning all interest associated with the card that you chose will no longer apply to you at that point. Sometimes you have a very high credit card limit and you used a lot of it and just can't pay it all at once and can only afford the minimum amount due. Which brings me to step number 2. Always monitor your credit card utilization. If you follow these 2 steps, you are guaranteed to be in great shape. If you know how to utilize your credit card properly, you can purchase whatever you want and still increase your credit score. So they give you a very high credit card limit, and you are like, well, they gave me all this money, so they must trust me. And if I buy all these things, I can pay back the full amount because that's what we learned in step 1. So, if you pay back the full amount on the minimum due date, you start saying to yourself, I did it, it's paid, and I'm good, which is still wrong. What some of us don't know is that credit card utilization plays a great part in your credit score. In other words, they give you all that money, but you should only be using 30% of it. To break it down, if you have a $10,000 credit card limit to meet the credit boost requirements that I'm talking about in this video, you need to only be using $3,000 of that $10,000 credit limit monthly and then paying it back in full on the minimum amount due date. This applies to any credit limit. If your credit card limit is $200, in all honesty, you should only just be using $60 monthly. To calculate what your 30% credit limit is, you can multiply your credit limit by the 30%. 0.30, and that will equal the amount you should be using. If you already used a certain amount on your credit card and want to calculate how much you utilized, all you have to do is take how much you used, which should be the lower number first, $5,000, and divide it by your credit limit, which is the bigger number, $10,000, and you will end up with a decimal point number, 0.50, and that's how much your credit utilization is. Is 30% not good enough? Here's a loophole. Now I understand that we all have things to pay for, so the other way around wanting to use more than 30% of your credit limit is to beat your statement. What some people don't know is that the credit card issuer reports account details to the credit bureaus on your statement closing date. Your statement closing date is when the billing cycle ends. So anything you do before the statement closing date will not be reported. For example, if you were to max out your $10,000 credit limit and you paid it off in full before the statement closing date, it can potentially hurt your score. Because by the time your statement comes out, it will show that you did not use any credit at all for that cycle, and that's what will be reported to the credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. These are the 3 main credit bureaus that lenders look at to determine if you are a risky borrower. So in comparison, if you go over the 30% utilization, by making a few payments during that cycle to get it back down to that 30% before your statement closing date, you'll reduce the total balance the card issuer reports to the credit bureaus. That, in return, will lower the credit card utilization percentage used when calculating your credit score for that month. It will show that you are using the credit card properly and have met the 30% and underutilization, and that's what future lenders want to see. In order for all this to work, you must know when your statement closing date is. Your statement closing date is not your due date. Your due date comes at least 21 days after your account statement closing date. In order to calculate your statement closing date, add the number of days in your billing cycle to the previous account statement closing date, which is included in your billing statement. For example, say your previous credit card statement had an account closing date of May 2nd, 2022, and there are 29 days in your billing cycle. Your next account statement closing date would be June 1st, 2022. All the transactions made between that time will be included on your next credit card billing statement. You can also call your bank if your statement does not include the amount of days in your billing cycle. If the information in this video has been of great use to you so far, I want you to stop what you're doing and please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. And if you're not scared, please comment below what your credit utilization for this month is. Now, for those of you who are thinking, well, I have 0% APR for like 12 to 18 months. I'm good on all that information right now. You're also wrong. Credit card utilization applies to you, whether or not you're interest-free for a certain amount of months or years. Your credit card utilization will still be reported to the credit bureaus on the closing of your billing statement. The only thing that won't be happening to you is that if you have one of those accounts that doesn't require a minimum amount to be paid, you will not accrue any interest on your remaining balance. Keep in mind that there are cards with 0 APR that still have a minimum balance to pay monthly. It might be really low, but it is still there. I know you might be thinking, why 30%? Who's coming up with a utilization percentage for credit cards? The 30% is coming from how your FICO score is calculated. Your score is made up of 5 components. On a 100% pie chart, 30% of your score is calculated by amounts owed, which is your utilization. 35% is payment history, 10% is new credit, 15% is length of credit history, and 10% is your overall credit mix. So there you have it. 65% of your credit score comes from your payment history and utilization. These two components have the greatest effect on your credit score. So while 30% utilization is what they're expecting from you, to receive the greatest effect on your credit score and quickly try utilizing less than 30% of your credit card, even as low as 10%. I know it sounds crazy, but try it for just a few months and see the change. I guarantee you will get addicted. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about the information in this video, please comment below and I will respond. Subscribe and start your question with "I subscribed" so that your question could be featured in detail in my next video.